Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 32. We're back around the table with Manny and Damon, and Robert's in the other room making sure everything happens for us. But today we have a special guest, Ilko Nechev, PCA's advertising director, in full clear HD, might I add.
You don't get used to it.
So we're going to tell the world how you've lived with dial-up. You've lived with dial-up for all these years, and we finally made you go full scale.
Either that or he's faking it during the meetings when he has to answer a question. And he goes like this. And
I've learned that from my son, yes.
and he freezes. And we go, well, we'll get back to Ilko.
Well, it's good to have you, Ilko, and I know we're going to get to a certain segment that you'll share a lot of information on what you did last weekend. But throughout the segment, just like you're here at the table, jump in on anything that we might be talking about.
Thank you for having me. I've been listening to this for so long, and now being part of it finally, and it's been fun.
Cool.
I think he said that like he was expecting to be on earlier, not this far. 32 episodes into the podcast.
All right, where do we want to start, Manny?
I did learn something. You don't get a ham and cheese sandwich at the airport and then sit on it for 5 hours or 6 hours before you eat it, because when we stopped in St. Louis, because, we fly Southwest, and Southwest is basically a bus that flies because it makes all these stops.
And we love Southwest.
Yes, before you get to your destination. And so we had to stop in St. Louis to drop off people and pick people up. And that's when I took the opportunity to eat my sandwich that I bought in San Jose for 5 hours earlier. and the whole time I'm eating, I'm questioning, going, we got a 2-hour flight from St. Louis to BWI. And if I start to have an upset stomach.
I did appreciate that you offered it to me, but being the experienced traveler that I am, I ate very preserved things. I had chips and nuts, and I didn't want to take a chance on that fresh or not so fresh sandwich that you had.
Because we had eaten a late breakfast, we had a breakfast meeting. Then we, when we were out in California, then I wasn't hungry for lunch yet, and.
4 hours, 5 hours, that's okay, right? I mean, like pizza, for example, you can leave that out for a few hours and it's all good.
He had like a sandwich with like...
It didn't have mayonnaise, fortunately. It was just, I was worried.
Well, I mean, the sandwich is closed. You can't see the mayonnaise, right? So...
No, you can taste it, though.
You can't see it, it's all good.
Okay, people tune into this to hear car stuff, not our sandwich.
The struggle's real when you fly Southwest.
Well, let's talk about car stuff that we did recently.
I guess I'll start.
He can't even wait. Damon is bursting at the seams.
He got the results from the autocross tattooed in his arm.
Yeah, all it took was for the fast people not to show up.
And cold weather.
And cold weather, exactly. But I'll fast forward, or I should say rewind a little bit. So a couple weekends ago, I finished installing Cayman R brakes onto my base Cayman, which, funny enough, Ilko's the one who referred that new used set of brakes to me from Rennsport. So I bought those a year and a half ago, rebuilt them, cleaned them all up, got the pistons in, a new boot and dust seal kit, which you see there, those blue high temp boots, and put them on the car. And it was a fairly simple job until I got to, and there's the old brake line you see right there with the little coil on it. And there's a new brake line, which is the Goodrich Bantam, I believe, stainless steel and whatever, the good stuff. It's a very simple job, but there's one thing that you must remember is do not ever introduce air into the system, or else you will be going through a ton of brake fluid trying to get that air out. I thought I had enough to bleed the brakes, and I didn't, and I pumped in a bunch of pressurized air into the master cylinder.
So the reservoir went.
The reservoir emptied, and it took me, I kid you not, I think 6 cans of brake fluid just to get all the bubbles out.
I did it in my 914. That's the worst feeling when I went to go look at the reservoir, and I could see the hole, and it was bare, and I'm like, oh.
That is my worst fear.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing, brake flushes and stuff, I go back to the reservoir way too many times, but it's so that I don't end up
it was a waste of
pumping
money,
air.
you know, and time. But I got
It's like
got through it.
seltzer water. Look at all that air.
Yeah, exactly. So that was so I used 2 cans or about 2 cans, and then it wasn't enough. There were still some bubbles, and then air started shooting out of the brake caliper. And so this clip here is
This all coming out of the front.
that is the rear, I believe, because I reused a set of brake discs.
So here's the question: did you use like a motive?
Yeah.
Thing? So there's 2 ways to use a motive.
It's a
Brake
pressure
bleeder.
bleeder, yeah.
So some people, I think probably the recommended way is you put the fluid into the motive container and then you pump it into the master cylinder. But it's kind of messy. So what I do is I actually just fill the master cylinder to the very top and then I hook it up and I just use
The pressure.
And that's why I'm going back to the master cylinder all the time to see how far it's dropped. But I never actually put fluid into the motive
interesting.
bleeder itself.
Yeah, do I?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had a motive that it seemed to break earlier, and I thought maybe it's because of fluid. You know, if you don't clean it
I just use it to
properly.
pressurize.
Interesting. Well, so there was still fluid in the bottom of the pressure bleeder, you know, maybe a half an inch to an inch or so. So I thought that I had some left, but where it picks up inside is somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I just started pumping air, but I got through it. And this past weekend I autocrossed and I finally won my class in
Nice.
SCCA's STR.
Well, car's looking very good.
Good
Yeah,
job, Damon.
Well,
Yeah, it stops
So
great.
just one thing to mention, guys, as far as the brake fluid and using 6 cans,
Yeah.
I had to replace the master cylinder on a non-Porsche last year. And if you have clean fluids, you can put it in a clean container. Even if you get a lot of air, you can recirculate it into the system, and then your last bleed would be with a
fresh can.
fresh can. Yeah.
Yeah, so I saved a couple cans just in case that had to happen, but
Not
fortunately,
what I was expecting to hear from the advertising director. I thought he would
Buy more
encourage
brake
you to
fluid.
buy more brake fluid, buy drums.
that's how we're realistic here at PCA. We let you know the real deal. The other so I've used that motive for a while, but then Peter Smith kind of put me on to there's a bleeder that you connect to your air compressor, and I have one of those, and that
I've heard
actually
of
works
that.
pretty well too. Again, I'm filling up the master cylinder, and then at the bleeder point, there's like it's almost like a little Venturi kind of vacuum thing that's created with the air compressor, and it basically sucks out from the bleeder point, and that's worked out pretty well too. I like
Nice,
that.
nice.
So I have two.
That's professional
two
shops.
ways.
That's what professional shops use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm and it works out pretty well.
So you
And then-
attribute your win to the new
I don't know. It was
bubbleless.
it was
braking
crazy.
system?
It was a cold day. It was at Summit Point, and it was Washington D.C. region SCCA autocross. And the really, really fast people weren't there. So Craig and Marcus Pine is usually at the top, and 3 seconds in front
First
of
of all,
me.
you never say the
I was
fast
about to
people weren't
say,
there.
yeah, you just took it. We had you up here, and now you said, well, all the fast people were busy that day.
Well, I shouldn't say all the fast people. So there were a couple other. There's a couple who drives a 2010 Miata in my class who always beat me by the husband 2 seconds and the wife, I believe, by 1 second. And a couple other people who beat me, here and there, but I've kind of traded places with throughout the season. And I was 1.2 seconds in front of the next closest person, which is really weird. You
That's
put on
awesome.
something that makes you stop better, and I actually went more quickly, but it was really cold. I had on Yokohama A052 tires, which don't take a lot of time to heat up, even in cold weather, or, moderate weather. And Miatas are 650 pounds or so lighter than me. So I think that I was able to get heat in my tires, and the Miata drivers couldn't. So
A win's a win, man. Congratulations.
Win's a win. So
And,
I'm super happy.
And also, some days when you're driving, things just like
it clicked.
It just clicks.
Yeah, it did
and then
click.
maybe it's a core setup or the car finally, and you're comfortable. So
Yeah, it was a
that's
good
awesome
feeling.
when you have a good day.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're
Damon, how
cheating,
did the brakes feel?
Oh,
compared
the
to
brakes
old
felt
ones?
great. So I'm running Porterfield R4S pads, which is kind of a smaller American company. I don't think a ton of people run Porterfields, but I was turned on to them, and I have them on my Camry. So And they're sort of like a street autocross pad, and they work great. So we'll see where it goes, and if I don't like them by the end of their life, I'll try something new.
But street pads are better for autocross
Yep.
than track pads.
Yeah,
Track
exactly.
Pads, you got to heat up.
You got to heat them up.
Yeah,
The
so
bite's not there.
when I do track days, hopefully next year, I'll probably get a set of pads to swap on it at the track. But
I run stock pads on my 996. Just basic
yeah,
OEM pads.
yeah, I don't want to glaze them over or pull them off the pad backing, as I've heard.
Yeah.
People who track street pads.
Oh
really
yeah.
hard.
No, I would. I mean, on the track, I would
But
switch it out, but for autocross,
For
I just-
autocross, you want them to heat up quick.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So I pulled my 87 out for a ride across the Bay Bridge for Cars and Coffee. That was cool. I hadn't driven the 87.
Oh, you went to Stevensville?
Yeah, I went to
Oh, did you?
Stevensville. Yeah,
You should have told me.
I didn't know. I thought you were up at Hunt Valley. So
I did, but
did you drive over?
no.
Oh, okay. So, anyways, it was cool to stretch your legs on the 87. And even though it was maybe 55 degrees, I drove with the top down and
I never
bundled
saw a
up.
picture of your car. I saw all these pictures of Porsches, but not your car.
Yeah. So when I showed up, they had like an area where all the Porsches were parked together, but they parked me up with the exotic car lane.
You got there late?
No, I think I got there I got there at 11-ish.
It started at 9.
No. This was you're talking.
Exotics you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was the show
That wasn't
after.
Stevensville,
Yeah, it was the
Cars
one
and
after
Coffee.
that one.
So
Yeah.
your 87 cab was an exotic for that day, huh?
I mean, there
I
weren't
think he
any,
just insulted you.
there weren't any other air cooled 911s for a while, so I
okay.
guess it is pretty exotic.
Yep,
Everything
yep.
else is water cooled. Really?
Like saying, I won a Brad Pitt lookalike contest. You won the contest?
No,
Very
it's an
nice.
awesome car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget
David
you.
trying to save his job.
So you went to Hunt Valley. I'm sure it was a beautiful day and tons of cars up there.
Yeah, you can tell it's starting to get a little cooler, and this is near the end of the event. It was packed, all that area with cars. But I thought it was a good shot. My problem, I'm unlike you. I don't think as a photographer, and I think afterwards I'm like, that would have been a good shot. I should have taken a photo, but this was pretty cool with Chip Riker's. I think it's a 56 or 57 Speedster with the GT3 in the background.
Very nice.
But,
looking car. I love how much he drives it too.
And he was telling me when it rains, because he got stuck out in the rain. He has no wipers mounted on that car either. And he got stuck in a raging thunderstorm. And he didn't bring his side windows with him. So he said the top was doing very little. It was the wind was coming in sideways into the car, and he couldn't see out of the windshield. And he was actually made it back to this parking lot and just waited it out.
So I'm very curious. There's a local friend. We'll call him Paul Gentili. That he pulls or has been known to take windshield wipers off his cars. And I think that's like maybe did people do that in the 60s
I
and
bet you
70s?
Ilko has wipers off his car because he lives in San Diego.
Oh,
You have yours on?
I have mine on.
yeah.
Oh, see,
but
that's his New York background, though.
But is that like a hot rodder thing? Is to take your wipers off?
Shaved door handles. The VW crowd.
But you can
always
still
like
open the door, though.
Yeah.
Was it shaved door handles or
Shaved
no,
door
no, they-
handles, you still have an actuator that pops the door
Yeah.
open. You
Yeah.
take windshield wipers off
You
the
don't have
windshield.
any. It doesn't pop up automatically. They're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe it's the same sort of
But
ethos
it
there.
It doesn't rain hardly at all in California, so you can get away with it. In Maryland, in a couple hours, they call no rain, and it can be a thunderstorm.
There aren't many places that you could do, without windshield wipers. So I'm just curious,
That's
like,
what I mean,
was that a thing in the 60s and 70s that people take their wipers off? Because
I've never
cool?
heard about that, except for maybe if you just want to go for that look.
I guess.
On the race car.
I don't use my wipers.
Yeah.
I don't use
So
them.
not
I
only do
usually
they
just
not only
clean
do
up-
they take the wipers off, but they buy these little plugs, like body colored or even black, to go over the post of the wipers to make it look like it was meant to be like that.
In the race car, I took out one of the wipers because I saw that the factory cars had that.
Okay, I'm guilty of that too.
And then, but have you ever driven in the rain?
Yes, and then
with one wiper, and you're like, "Well, this is stupid."
Right, exactly. And then I put the second wiper back on.
And you're strapped in. You're trying to look around the area, and you can't see anymore.
Yeah,
because
no.
there's rain, and yeah.
I definitely did, and I did this back when I had my Fiero in high school. I thought that would be cool, so I bought one long blade and just put it like across my windshield, so like it's halfway up, and then one swipe and you're like, yeah, that doesn't really work.
So I also I was trying to I bought the Cerakote stuff. I bought the headlight restoration kit.
Cerakote, yep,
and it phenomenal job on my Z3 headlights, which were like looked terrible, and I was very impressed. So I got the Cerakote trim conditioner that Tim McNair recommended on our Tech Tactics live show, and I did the exposed cowling on the Boxster, and it doesn't really restore it to new because it's a little bit shinier than the new ones
but
are.
it looks good though.
But it's a lot cheaper than buying the new parts.
Yeah.
And it was really rich, and it wasn't greasy at all. And just the way they advertised it. So of course I decided I'm going to do the whole inside plastic too.
Cerakoted the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking because it's fading out,
And here it goes.
And evidently I didn't prep it well enough.
Oh.
And so I put it on, and the next morning I opened it up.
Dandruff.
Oh my God! It's my wife's car too.
It looked like dandruff.
Yes. Yeah, I had to. So I was still working on it. I read on there you take a magic eraser, you take some alcohol. You should basically just start working.
Prep is key.
Well, see, I use alcohol to clean it too. I don't know why, because I looked it up, and Cerakote said if a car's new, the plastic is still gassing, and that could cause it. But this
that's not
car
the-
is
yeah, not
almost
the
20
case
years
with your
old,
car.
so
Yeah.
it's not new. That was very strange. So I'm going to give it another try after I get it all cleaned and everything. It did the door sills, a little shinier than factory, but it lasts long, and it doesn't have that greasy feel to it that some of the other rubber conditioners.
Yeah.
So I didn't go anywhere this weekend. It was my wife's and my birthday, so I thought it'd be good to stick around. But I did get to play in the garage a little bit, not Porsche related, but a few. For months I've been looking for, maybe a year or two, been looking for a special set of exhausts for my Ducati Monster, and it's a '03 and it's out of production for these carbon exhausts, and I found a set in Italy while I was on travel, and I figured I'd splurge, and they came like right away. I was so
Nice. Were
amazed.
you traveling in Italy?
Nope. I was just on eBay.
He was traveling and
looking
on
looking
Italian
The
at
way
all-
you made it sound like you
No,
were
no,
in Italy and you found it.
I was on the road working, but when you're like sitting on a plane or sitting in the terminal, you start looking for stuff, and so I found this set of mufflers out in so they're Termignonis. I think that's how you pronounce it. Termignoni, yeah. And they're way light. They sound amazing.
Really, you're asking Damon how to pronounce it?
Yeah.
No, I took Italian for a year.
Okay, there you go. I took Italian.
GN.
That
yeah.
explains how you pronounce it. Some of the
The Regale.
Think gnocchi. GN.
The Regale, the Buick Regale, and Agate Gray.
Termignoni.
Yeah. So anyway, so I got to, I put, you see on the photo there, to put it on the bike stand, and I'm always leery about doing that by myself. So I had my wife help me just hold the bike still and threw those on in about 20 minutes, and they sound amazing. They weren't that loud, but they have like a nice deep bassy tone. And
so
then
you thought your wife was going to hold this bike up if it started to fall.
well, she just
Is that
needs,
was your plan?
She just needs to hold it
Your
straight.
wife,
She
is
doesn't
she even 100 pounds in weight?
She doesn't need to pick it up. She just needs to keep it balanced. I threw it on there and went for a ride. Sounds awesome. But then my friend pointed out to me, how do you like the sound? I'm like, it sounds good. It's just I thought it would be louder. He's like, did you take the inserts out? I'm like, there's inserts? So I haven't done that yet. So I figured that'd be like a birthday gift for this weekend, where I'll take the inserts out and see how they really sound.
Nice.
And then the other thing that's been bothering me is the A-pillars on my 5 Series just came loose, and they're gross, and it's right
Does
by
that
your
happen
eyes.
to all BMWs?
I think
my
they
son's
do.
BMW had
Yeah,
the same thing.
yeah, I think they do. I think the fabric separates from the backing, and same thing with headliner. So it seems.
Oh yes, 3M multi-purpose.
It is a fairly simple process. Getting the panel off of that A-pillar can be a little tricky at the end, because unlike, say, American cars or Japanese cars, like
That's your
panels-
trash can you're using?
Yes.
Okay.
Panels fit very tight in a German vehicle, so you just have to kind of trust that you pull it and not everything's going to break. So pull it off, pull the fabric back, You do a nice even light coat of that 3M Super 77. Do not put it on the fabric because it'll soak through and it'll look gross. You just put it on.
Gotta wait till it gets tacky and then you put it on.
You let it sit, and that's what I did on the trash can there because overspray doesn't matter, right? So sprayed that, let it sit in the sun. It starts to get tacky, and then you fold it over, and man, it looks like factory now. And so yeah,
It looks good.
Did you fully remove the fabric, or
no? Because it was
partially?
really around where it says HPS.
Right.
It was sealed very well there, so I was like, you know what? I just worked around it. So
And it also gives you a point of reference of
exactly,
where to put it
because I
back.
was getting ready to mark the fabric, so that when I put it on, I put it on right. But since it was stuck there, I just rolled it over and stretched it out, so it was good.
You haven't mentioned at all that you started another lap around the sun.
Still mid 40s. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm just thinning in my hair.
I'm mid 40s until I'm 50. So yes, I
But
celebrated.
the staff surprised you.
They did. So we've been working nonstop on a number of things. So we were just gonna do lunch, and I walk into our pizza place, and they surprised me. It was definitely a surprise because it was not my birthday day.
That's a question mark. In
That's
case
a question mark,
someone-
yeah.
People watching YouTube are trying to figure out
So it's
what number
4
that
question
is.
mark birthday candle. So
I thought it was 49.
that was awesome. Yeah. So let's see what else happened. You want to talk about Rennsport, or you want to go into Ilko's weekend?
We talk about Rennsport.
Rennsport? Okay, let's do it.
So we just got back as we're recording this. We got back about 12 hours ago. I guess I got home 11 hours ago.
Yeah.
From a whirlwind trip to Monterey. We met we're part of the Porsche core team for Rennsport. And we're very proud that they choose PCA to partner with them in putting on this event. We met at the track. All I can say is that this is going to be the most epic Rennsport, and I'm sure you're going to hear it, but being in the meetings and hearing what they're going to do, it's unlike previous Rennsports. I'm not going to say that it's unlimited budget, but
Yeah.
wow.
They've got big plans.
Big plans. And, if you're on the fence about going to this event,
There's
Get
no
off the fence.
There's no reason to be on the fence. You just need to hop over and get your ticket
Yeah.
and make sure that you're going to be there, because
they were showing pictures from Goodwood and saying, this is what we're looking for.
and events in Dubai, they're
Yeah.
like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
What did I say about Goodwood being my favorite event? And I wish Rennsport had a little bit more Goodwood.
Well, they said they heard that and they wanted to
Yeah.
impress
I think
Damon.
they quoted you.
because of me.
They
Yes.
quoted you.
So they're going to build. If people went before to Rennsport or are familiar with Laguna Seca, on the inside of Turn 3, they're going to build a double-decker, 2-story building. If you've been to Laguna this year, you saw that there's already one on the in the paddock area.
Right.
It was at the Motorsport Reunion. It was sponsored by Haggerty, I think, and had a lot of Haggerty signage. So Porsche Classic is going to set up shop there. They're going to bring vehicles in. It's going to be hospitality.
Turn 3 on the inside.
Well, see, I guess it's on the apex, I call it.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
yeah, to me the inside is the inside of the track, where technically this is on the outside of the track. If you look at the map of the track.
Oh, I see what you're saying,
So,
because it
but
bends in.
anyways,
Yeah.
it's on the it's where the 914 and 911 corrals were last Rennsport. So they're finding a new home for that. And so it basically, don't be surprised if the corrals are being moved around when Rennsport comes. They're doing the theme was we're gonna basically use every available spot we can, because what they noticed from last Rennsport was there was a lot of empty space they weren't utilizing from the overhead photos. So they've already paved some stuff they didn't have paved before.
I think it's appropriate for me to say that Rennsport is already breaking records. We're a year out.
Yes.
Yeah.
They brought up several times how PCA broke the internet for for their ticket sales, and hopefully at least everyone listening to the podcast or watching the podcast took advantage of the being a member and having early access because a lot of stuff is sold out.
Mm-hmm.
The corrals are almost sold out. There's a few models that are specific corrals that are still open, but it's going to be a huge event.
Yeah, and I, to put it into perspective, I think Porsche Cars North America and past Rennsports, we have sort of a focus on being a big event in North America, right? But I think the scope of Rennsport 7 is going to be something that they want everyone around the globe to kind of watch. And so with that sort of task, they're going to bring their A game in so many different levels, from people that are coming, the structures that are going to be built, the cars. I mean, everything they are just going to elevate. And as I said, they're already breaking certain records with things that have already been sold. But that's just a little bit of a preliminary look at how awesome this is. And as Manny said, don't be on the fence. Just do it. Get your tickets. Figure it out how you can be there, because you do not want to miss.
And
this
don't
one.
think you need to drive your Porsche to have a good time.
No, not at all.
If
We
you're
talked about
lucky
this
enough
before.
to be in the area and have a Porsche, yeah, it's cool to be able to park in a corral. But most people that I know are flying in.
Oh yeah.
And once you park their car and get in the track, that's where you stay. And our tent is, our tent was, what do we measure, 35 by 60 last time?
35 by 60 last time.
Now
Are
it's
you going to
going-
mention my good thought I had for the
Yeah,
day?
Vu had an excellent idea. I wasn't thinking that big because I'm so used to Porsche always saying we don't have the budget. And then I tell them, have you read the headlines about how much money you guys have? Because you advertise it quarterly, how much money you make. So don't say you don't have money. But usually that's their response to everything is we don't have the budget. I never heard
They're
that in
being
this trip.
fiscally responsible, Manny.
So, Vu recommended. The problem with our tent has always been that there's cement columns, and we can't put the tent over top the cement columns because of something with fire
Code.
and code.
Yeah.
So we were limited in our footprint, and I never looked that forward as far as moving the tent on the other side of the cement pylons where we had parked cars. Because the 918 people wouldn't be parking there. So that opens up a lot of space. So now we're looking at, how did they measure? Like 80?
40 by 80.
40 by 80. It's
Yeah,
gonna be a
40 by
huge
80.
tent.
And I think the layout, Robert had some photos earlier, but the layout will just be much nicer in the sense where we're going to more effectively utilize the space on, they call it Cayman Island, but it's really like a peninsula.
They're looking to change the name because
They should change
we
the
never
name.
parked Caymans on there.
No. I don't know how it became that
It was a
way.
cute name when they first did it in Rennsport 5.
Yeah.
But now it's, they're going to think of another name related
So
to
there's like
PCA.
there's like a picnic seating area. There you go. The picnic seating area that we didn't get to use last time because our tent kind of covered it all. So now it opens it up, and that big pad there, we can do a car
we're
display.
going to move all those picnic tables out and bring in I think sofas,
lounge furniture.
It's going to be very.
They're talking about having food and beverage in that area as well. We'll have juniors there. We'll have.
They basically want to make the
merchandise.
same level of hospitality as other parts of the track
Exactly.
here, which
exactly.
normally has never been that way.
Right.
They kind of sometimes, I don't want to say forgot about us, but they let us do our own thing. But evidently the budget's been moved.
Again, they want to elevate the experience no matter where you are at the track during Rennsport. You're going to have an amazing experience. You don't have to be just in the paddock. You don't have to be just in the VIP area, but you can go to the far ends of the quote unquote infield and you'll have an amazing experience.
Yeah, I'm very. I was very excited after meeting with them and hearing their plans. And they're looking at every single angle from the media, even influencers.
Yep.
Their biggest challenge is space.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody wants to do something, and there's only so much space at Laguna because it's so hilly. So it's unlike Daytona or Indianapolis, which is so flat and there's so much room to do stuff. Here you're kind of limited of the space
And
that you can do
new for
car
this
stuff.
time. New for this time, I think we can say this is they're now really having to look at the charging infrastructure.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. I mean, usually at the track you don't have to worry about that, but with this event they are, and
They were looking at
lot of
30
Taycons.
chargers.
I don't want to give the details away, but
I just did.
I don't know how many chargers or how they'll do it, but it's just impressive that they're thinking about all this stuff to make sure that everyone no matter what vehicle you're coming in, you're going to have an amazing experience. They're also looking at venues outside of the track too. So for those of you that have big groups that are coming and stuff like that, don't wait. Start planning
And
now.
we may be looking at doing something too.
Yep, exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's very cool to hear that they're taking this very I'm not going to say seriously, but realizing the importance of 75 years of Porsche, 60 years of the 911. Because I remember at a time when Rennsport, Germany just wasn't. They didn't really care about Rennsport.
Not that they didn't care. It
Well,
just
back
wasn't.
in
It wasn't
2
on
and
their
3,
radar.
they weren't really that
Yeah,
involved.
because it was a U.S. thing or a North America thing.
But now it's international, and
Yeah, and I can tell you when, I was over there a couple of weeks ago, there was more talk about Rennsport than there was about IPO. People are going, hopefully I get chosen to go to Rennsport, and if I don't get chosen, I will figure out how to get myself to Rennsport. So that's the kind of, the waves that they're making for Rennsport.
it'll be interesting how they're going to integrate lifestyle with the racing and the keeping that even balance of. Because obviously they realize that there's people that are coming that aren't hardcore enthusiasts like I am, and they're going to want to see things other than cars.
But that's what Porsche does, right? They find that balance, and they're experts at that.
And you're already signed up for the Ragnar Midnight Run, right?
Yes, so we did find out that there's going to be a midnight run like there was at Indianapolis, and I guess I better start training because
Are you running the hills? Or the
I was about to say the hills.
You?
The hills at Laguna are much steeper than at
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
and the hills. It's all flat in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Running from the entrance of the track, the main entrance, all the way up, right?
Maybe it's just the one straight. That'd be good. It'll just be a drag. We also took the opportunity while we were out there. It was to visit our partners with Works Reunion Monterey, and visited the folks at Monterey Pines Golf Course. And at the end of Works Reunion Monterey this year, there was other things going on, such as Indy and such. So we kind of did our event and went our separate ways. And the manager there, he went on vacation, so we really didn't get to kind of circle back together and sit with them. So we thought it was a great opportunity to do this while we were out there this past 2 days, and we sat with them, and I'm happy to report they were just as happy as we were. The commander of the base is, I would say, almost proud to be hosting one of the most.
Was this the first time they did a car show, or the biggest car show, he said?
First time for a car show.
Yeah,
They've never done a car show at Monterey Pines Golf Course.
Which is owned by the Navy. Right?
Navy, correct. Yeah. And we know what we do, right, at PCA, and people that come to our events understand how we run our operations. But to someone new, they don't know. But now that they've seen that we've pretty much delivered exactly as we said we would, now they have that confidence that as a partner to their facility, now hopefully for the next couple of years they'll be like, it'll be much easier, right? Because they'll know exactly what to expect.
They said that I liked how when they said that they were very thankful for how respectful the Porsche people were for the grounds.
Yep.
And that it was not like the crowd when they do the free concerts or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
It made me laugh. I'm like, who's the artist that you get this rowdy crowd on these free concerts?
Yeah, they were ready to golf the very next day. So,
but the funny thing was, and I had to explain to them that not all Porsche people are golfers.
Mm-hmm.
And because he said the only complaint was that some people drove over the tees.
Yeah.
And or the green.
The greens.
And I was like, well, I gotta. In their defense, I said I am not a golfer, so
grass is grass.
Grass is grass. I've learned from doing events now. The really low grass is important, and you don't run over that. I said, but we may just have to put some signage and flags so people know not to run over the important grass.
Yeah, and that was that's an easy tweak, and they were very impressed with our parking of spectator cars, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's all good. So I'm looking forward to being back there next year, and we'll give you guys an update on that later. The place that I kind of wanted to be on my birthday, but I thought it'd be smart to stay home was to be in LA, the LA area this past Sunday, and that's why Ilko, we'd love to see his pretty face, but really he's here to give us an update on what he got to do on Sunday.
He lives in San Diego, so it's a what is it, about an hour and a half drive for you? Hour drive?
About that much, yeah.
Depending on how fast he's driving.
Or traffic.
Or
really.
if I have the HOV lane, which was very helpful with sometimes.
You mean the diamond lane?
Diamond lane.
Yeah.
So what
So
car did
you
what car
were
did you drive
definitely-
up here?
To Luft,
Yeah.
my station wagon. So I'll backtrack a little bit because I don't own a air-cooled car anymore, so I can't even apply to be part of the event. But
To be
you were
rejected?
definitely missed. I did get rejected once, and I have the T-shirt that says.
I was about to say, I remember
reject.
your T-shirt.
Yeah, but
And how many lifts have you been to, Ilko?
This is my third.
Okay.
So, and each of them has been very different in terms of the location, in terms of the people, and in terms of the cars. So, the first one that I went to was at the Universal Studios backlot.
Oh, that
And-
was amazing.
That was amazing in many aspects, but also challenging in some aspects due to the fact that you were the property of Universal Studios, and you had to be bussed, and it was difficult. But the backdrop was incredible. The cars that they had on display were top notch, and there were a lot of people that I was even discussing that with the folks at Porsche Classic at the time. It was 30%, I would say, Porsche enthusiasts and air-cooled fans, and 70% people who are fans of the brand, but not necessarily Porsche owners at the Universal Backlot event. And what you're seeing in this picture here now is this is all Porsche fans. It's such a different crowd of people that were really there to enjoy the cars, enjoy each other's company, and I thought that this is the best of the Luftgekühlt events that I've been to.
Now, were you being in Mercedes or being in a car that isn't in the show? Did you park at a different lot and they bust you in, or did you walk over, or how did you get in?
So with this event, it was very easy. I just parked right next door to the location. Those are a couple of warehouses in Long Beach by the port, where you see the warehouses in the background. A portion of the warehouse has stores and craft shops and a beer brewing place, and some of it is open for events, which is where a lot of the indoor displays were, along with the Porsche Classic section. But parking was absolutely a breeze, super easy to get in and out this time. I did not have to walk far at all. You just cross a traffic light and you're in. And there was a special Porsche parking for cars that are Porsches that were not part of the event, and that was a sight to be seen as well. It was similar to what we do at the corral areas during Works Reunion, for instance. But it was just a really fun way to spend a Sunday with a lot of people that I've gotten to know over the years. A lot of really interesting cars. My favorite was a tangerine orange 964 RS 3.8, the white body.
Nice.
I've never seen, and I know that they only made a handful of them over the years. Probably, I think 15 964 RS 3.8s.
And that's a
Manny, I don't know.
Singer turbo study.
That's the
No,
People
that's
watching
a
Gunther
Gunther
Works, not the
Works.
same car.
That's a Gunther
Or
Works.
Gunther Works, never mind. My bad.
Gunther Works.
That's a 7430 RS.
Yeah. So there were some really, really incredible cars, but also a lot of people that came from not just all over the United States, but all over the world. I met with clients from Canada, from Germany, from the Netherlands, and it was just an incredible way to spend a Sunday.
How many
The
cars
fact
were
that
on display, roughly?
I would say so. You had the display cars, as you can see in the photos here, that were spread out inside, and some of them outside, along with the cars that were accepted for the show. Probably at least 150.
Oh wow! Because
Yeah, it's a big.
that's a big place because I don't see cars like stacked next to each other, and for to be able to do that
There are
with 150
sections.
cars.
Yeah, there are sections that they had a lot of cars that were stacked next to each other.
Oh,
And
okay.
frankly, I didn't take a lot of photos of the event because I was honestly busy talking to people.
Hmm.
And then Manny texted me on Monday. He said, "I want you to talk about Luft at the podcast." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." So I reached out to Jimmy Mitchell,
Oh,
who
nice.
was also at the event. Jimmy Mitchell is one of PCA's volunteers who takes photos at all of our major events,
He
such as
always
Parade,
has an
Works Reunion.
SLR. Always has an
Yes,
SLR
and
in his hand.
most of those photos are his.
Mm.
He's really a sweet guy to talk to, and absolutely great photographer.
Thank you,
So a
Jimmy.
lot of those photos are Jimmy's, yes. But and you can see some of the cars perhaps in the background over there, where you have a lot of the cars that were accepted into the event.
How many?
But go ahead.
what were the hours? How long was it?
So there was an early admission that starts at 8 a.m.
Mm.
and late a regular admission, I guess, which is at 10, and it runs until 2.
Yeah.
So I went for the regular admission. The early admission is if you wanted to take photos, there'll be fewer people and for the first 2 hours,
Hmm.
so that you can take pictures unobstructed by the crowds.
Mm. Yeah,
But
that's what's interesting to me is, that's a huge effort. But in California, I think the 4 hours for an event is kind of like you guys' max. Like I know in the East Coast here, like if we do like a Chesapeake Challenge or something like that, it's like an all day. But is it most shows over there are maybe like 4 hours max? People gotta go home and do other stuff, or
yeah, about that long.
yeah.
And it gets hot for the most part by the time you hit high noon, as you can see in those photos. When I got there, the marine layer was still pretty thick at 10
Mm-hmm.
a.m.
Mm-hmm.
By 11, it was starting to dissipate, and at noon, it was getting pretty warm. But thankfully, those warehouses were huge and had plenty of opportunities for you to just go inside if you wanted to spend a little time. Also, they have this section that has tarps on it and a lot of tables, so that you can sit there and have a meal.
So, did you get a chance to visit with our Porsche Classic friends and see the special originale?
I did. I
Yeah.
saw Bucky and I saw Ray, and they were busy stamping the originales with the Club Blau spine. So that was
Oh,
pretty cool.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Jonathan Sieber was there as well, and I think they said they ran out of pretty much everything within like, halfway, not even halfway through the show, I think.
Well, by noon they were really busy stamping those and
Yeah.
getting them out to people, and there was a line, quite a long line of
Hmm.
people who
They
wanted to
got in
get.
trouble. They got in trouble for the line too, because I think the line blocked some other display, so they had to like.
Oh yeah, they had to get them out from the inside of the
Yes.
facility to go outside. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
did you
good
see?
problem to have.
I listened to Spike's Car Radio on the way to work today, and they did it live from Luft. Did you see them record that, or is that?
I did not see them. I did. It was being piped through the loudspeakers for some of the time. I don't know if it was the whole time or partially, but I did hear that they were speaking as well. But I did not see where they were or where they
I would
recorded.
think that would be tough to do to have a live show when you have Porsche distractions everywhere. I don't know. I mean, how did it come
the
off?
show was funny as a listener,
Yeah.
but it sounded like the crowd was not into it as they were at Pebble Beach, where we were in a room
Yeah,
closed off,
exactly.
and it was it sounded like they were struggling to get questions from the audience, and I think maybe Johnny Lieberman mentioned that it looked like three people were paying attention, the rest were eating nachos and talking, which to be expected that
Right.
when you're in an event like Luft.
Yeah, plenty of distractions in a good way. But I wanted to talk to you more about not just the event itself, but it's now become a whole weekend event because Luftgekühlt is the culmination on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But it all starts on Friday with many events on Saturday. Friday was the
Gunther Works
sort of a
gathering,
kickoff at Gunther Works. They had a German theme, and I have to give credit to Cecilia and Peter Nam for opening their doors to all these people and being so generous with their time and showing everyone what the Gunther Works brand is about and what they're capable of. And they're just really sweet people that care about the Porsche community.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big fans of Peter and Cecilia and the whole Nick and the crew at Gunther Works, and they were so amazing to us for the first unStock last year. They will still be involved, even though we're not having unStock at their location because it's going to travel. But they will certainly be represented at unStock at West Coast Customs, and I saw they had at least 2 cars there at Luft, right?
Yes, they had those two, the Speedster and the Turbo Commission, the Turbo Study.
Yeah. So Friday was their kickoff. Other shops had things going on Saturday.
Saturday there was a event at the Peterson,
Okay.
sort of a gathering in the morning. There was another event at AutoCannel, which is one of the Porsche sellers in Orange County. My buddy Ben, the professor, he had a Porsche run, which he usually does around Luftgekühlt. So there are many cars that went up the Angeles Crest and the roads up there. And in the evening, there was a very cool event at the Hoonigan location.
Oh, yeah. Brian?
Yeah, exactly. Brian Scotto and his team, they introduced the new Kinesis line of wheels, which you guys probably remember Kinesis from the late 90s and early 2000s. That was the wheel to have if you wanted to modify your car. And they kind of faded out after a number of years, and Wheel Pros is the company that purchased them. And Wheel Pros has been a brand that has purchased a lot of other companies. Rodiform is now under their umbrella. And I just found out that Hoonigan was purchased by Wheel Pros as well.
Wow. Really?
Purchase.
What?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
That's an interesting deal.
Yeah, Brian was telling me my life is a little bit different now.
Really?
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see. We make contact with them at SEMA next month.
Wow, very cool. So let's get in. You guys want to get into some Porsche news?
I don't know. Did Ilko, we talked ahead of time about because you went to Italy, or you went all over Europe, I think.
Oh yeah.
But you got to go to the PEC in Italy.
Right.
Did you send Robert those photographs?
I did send some photos to Robert. Yes, and the reason why I mentioned it to you is because I was listening to your podcast with Paul Greger, and he mentioned it, and I had no idea about that place. The only reason why I found out about it is because one of our advertisers, Autobahn Adventures, had it in their social media that they're taking a group of cars there. So I said, oh, well, I'll be in that area in a couple of weeks. I'll go check it out. And it's just an hour east of Milan and in an area called Franciacorta. And it's a really interesting building. It's made out of wood, and it has a real track next to it. I mean, with runoff and with elevation changes. The building, when you see it, it's on the right. The architecture is really spectacular. Perhaps Robert didn't get the pictures that I sent yesterday of those.
Hey, Robert, can you scroll through those 5 photos there? Click the little buttons.
There you go.
So it looks bigger than
Yes.
LA.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's
And
like
they
a
have
go-kart track,
more
too.
space.
Yeah, go-kart as
Yeah,
well.
they have the go-kart track.
Ooh, wow.
So this is all made of wood, believe it or not.
Wow.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah, bent wood. This is Italian architects that did it, and
That's
it's only
gorgeous.
been open for a year. It's really a spectacular location. Yeah.
Wow, it looks like it.
So
Sim
they do
racing.
have sim racing. They have real racing facility with garages. If you look up at sort of like the top middle, they have exactly the pit building,
Mhm.
the kart track up on the upper right hand corner. A really cool place.
Wow, that's big.
And yeah, it's big, and I think that they are building more.
Is this like LA, where you can just walk up and go in, or is it like Atlanta where you need a reservation?
No, you just walk up, you drive in. I drove in my Fiat 500, and I parked right in that parking lot that's that you see in the photo. Walked down, and I was inside. No one asked me a question. I didn't talk to anybody either. Just went in, took my photos. As a matter of fact, I took up the elevator to the top viewing deck, and you have a really good vantage point of the whole track. And I took some video there as well.
And how many experience centers are there now? You know, there's 2 in the U.S. Isn't there one in Toronto?
There's Great Britain.
Toronto,
I think
Great
Japan
Britain,
has one.
Japan, yeah.
China. I think there's
Yeah.
like 8.
I think it's more
Yeah,
than
it
that.
sounds about right, if not more.
We'll
yeah.
have to find out.
Yeah,
More
interesting.
importantly, how was the gift shop?
It was slim pickings.
Slim pickings? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad then.
You don't feel so bad. Yeah. Although Europe is on sale right now, so and by that I mean the euro is very low. So
Yes.
our
good time.
our money goes a long way
Yeah.
in Europe at the moment. So anything that you see at the gift shop is probably a good value to us.
So to answer your question, there are 7 current experience centers.
Oh, only 7?
In Leipzig, Hockenheim, Silverstone, Le Mans, Shanghai, and Franccordia, Italy.
Franciacorta.
Franciacorta.
Oh, 7 outside. So there's 9. Because
Oh, you're right. You're right. I didn't read that part.
there you go.
9.
9.
Was Toronto part of that list, Manny? Because I think
Uh,
if Toronto wasn't, then there's 10.
That's 10 because it
Yeah.
says outside North America.
Damn Google.
Trying to be all smart.
I am
And you read half of it.
reading stuff from 1999.
All right. Since you're Googling stuff, why don't we go into Porsche news? You want to talk about the 992 test mule?
Did you click for this when I sent it?
No.
Of course not.
But look at the flares.
That's what I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Ilko? It'll make production, don't you think?
No.
It's like a DTM car, only Safari DTM or something.
I was going to say that the ride height is what got me, and then the I'm guessing they were trying out the different width wheels or offsets,
Yeah.
and they just put that on for safety reasons.
That looks
That's
like
what I'm
Nakai-san and RWB project started. But
I
not
wouldn't even
not
insult
completed.
RWB by
Yeah, I
saying
was
that.
gonna say.
I said started, not completed.
That looked like they went to the local Home Depot in Stuttgart and made some flares just to stick on.
Yeah. And
Oh.
we've been seeing these raised 911s for, I want to say 2 or 3 years now. You know, like spy shots. When are they going to come out with a Safari 911 or an off-road 911?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a turbo model with the air
Yeah.
intakes.
Air intakes,
Yep.
yeah. But look at that ride height, man. That's
Yeah.
And look at the difference in the diameter of the front wheel to the rear wheels.
It's the rear wheels look
It's
huge.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got active aero on the front going on.
I don't know how I feel about that air intake if it's a Safari car with the dirt and the dust
Oh, yeah,
going right
true.
in there.
And then the big wheels with the small
because,
tires.
Because a
that
lot of
doesn't
these
seem good.
Safari owners are going to take it out on the dirt.
Well, I'm sure Porsche's designing it as if they would, right?
Right. I think that would be changed for production. It'd have
Yeah.
some big scoop at the top.
I wonder how.
Or do what they did with the Sport Classic, which is turbo, but they made the
Eliminate-
intakes and they
eliminate.
eliminate the intakes.
Yeah, yeah.
So the next news item was
selling Porsche shares.
No, this was the basically how much Volkswagen got out of
Yeah, $9 billion it looks like. Huh?
yeah, which was a little bit less than they had thought of. But you know, I haven't a chance to look. I wanted to see what was their total fines for Dieselgate.
Oh, much more than $9 billion.
That's what I thought, and
I'm
thought to
pretty
myself,
sure that all said and done, and man, I haven't even really added it up, but it's probably in the 30, 40, 50 billion dollars when you add in all the different lawsuits.
I would love to hear if someone knows if did the fines. Obviously, they had to deplete their cash reserves to a certain point. So this, and I know that on the surface they're saying it allows them for more research, more UV, but
Does it just replenish the kitty?
I mean, how much did it must have really hurt them.
So in March 2020, Volkswagen said that the diesel scandal had cost it 31.3 billion euros.
Wow.
Which probably has gone up since then.
Yeah, so that's I mean, the whole punitive penalties like that are just that to punish you. So maybe it did work out that they did it. But and yeah, you'll probably also read not on this article, but Porsche is more valuable than VW.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Which
crazy.
means it took a lot for them to let Porsche go.
Yeah.
So they yeah, that was
That means they're probably one of the most valuable automakers in the world.
behind Tesla, I think.
Tesla and is like Toyota or one of those. I wonder. I have to research that. They're up there. I know Tesla is like $1 trillion.
Yeah,
Or something.
the Tesla's market cap is insane compared to I think at one time all the other automakers combined weren't as big as Tesla as far as market cap.
Still boggles my mind.
Yeah.
It's gone down quite a bit over the past few weeks, but still, yeah.
It'll go back up. He's gonna buy Twitter, so
So I was watching, or I'm still watching this series on like how the whole GameStop thing happened, and how when Elon jumped into that, and GameStop stock just went through the roof. And I mean, his strength and his followers.
Dogecoin, and
Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
want to go into too much.
I wish I understood more of that stuff because I don't.
So did you read the article about the Porsche's vibrating car? And no, it's not what you think. It's not.
Yeah, you see that string of words together, and your mind goes to bad
PG,
places.
Keep it PG. We're talking about sound.
To make the cars more aerodynamic and using the car's speakers, and they're still experimenting. That's it's just something that they're. So what Weissach does is they try everything out.
And it's not necessarily new though. Like even in my Honda Odyssey, my speaker system pumps out a opposite sound to the road noise to make the interior seem more quiet.
But then you ruin that with that big ass subwoofer you put in the back.
Right. So when I added the subwoofer, I had to disconnect that because it was using my subwoofer to make the opposite sound. Which
You're
made it
messing
even
with
more.
the NVH. With that
I was,
noise,
yeah.
Vibration, harshness.
How do you remember that I have a subwoofer in the Odyssey?
Because you have a subwoofer in every car you have. Every car you have messed with the audio system.
Is there a subwoofer in your 911?
Yes.
Both?
What car has
Yes.
what car
Oh,
of
wow.
yours has a stock stereo on it?
Oh
The Honda Fit does it because you already messed with that.
my gosh, you're right. Every single car I have
Yes,
has it.
Low-end's BMW too?
Loanne's
Low-ass BMW. That's hilarious.
She
the
doesn't have
the one she never drives.
She doesn't have a BMW anymore.
Well,
That's
I thought
the
that the
one-
5 Series was for her.
Yeah, you got to keep your lies in line here.
The 5 Series does have a sub and an amp.
Yep, there we go.
I think is the little Japanese pickup.
Its stereo is modified too
There you go.
because it has a Japanese. I mean, I had to because it had a Japanese radio, so I had to modify.
What does
so,
that mean? That it only picks up Japanese
yeah,
stations?
the frequencies are different in
That's
Japan.
crazy.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Frequencies are different, yeah.
yep. So the
I
radio
learned
doesn't work in
something
the
new.
US, so I
did not realize.
added an amplifier, an MP3, and 2 speakers.
And a sub.
I'm still trying to figure out how to put a sub in it. There's limited space.
that. Where the passenger sits.
Yep.
So, anyways, yeah, it's interesting how they're using the speakers. They're trying everything to make these cars as slippery as possible going through the air because that's going to be a big game changer when it comes to EVs. Not just weight and battery length and distance. It's also how aerodynamic the car is going to be.
But then these cars start looking, if you're going for this maximum aerodynamic efficiencies, will all cars just look like jelly beans and start looking the same?
Yeah, like science fiction.
Ugh.
Maybe.
Ugh.
I'm sure they'll figure out a way to make it look.
I hope so.
If it's going to take, if they want people to spend a lot of money,
Yeah.
they're going to make every car individual.
Well, the fact they're using sound probably means they're trying to overcome the fact that they don't want their cars to look like a jelly bean. Use sound waves, right?
Yeah.
To change what
Like
the
a
air
kidney
does.
bean.
Yeah.
I think those are all designs and shapes that in 50 years' time, they will all look the same to us in terms of what the cars look right now.
Yeah.
People will be saying, oh, yeah, the cars from the 2020s, they all look the same.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
And they do.
All right, let's go into events. What's the latest on unStock?
I think we have about 20 spots still available.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to reserve some of those spots because we're going to see some cars at SEMA, right?
Well, we always have last
yeah,
minute
don't
people.
sell them all out.
Yeah. We'll see some cool cars at SEMA. We want to make sure we have room for them.
Yeah,
but
so far the cars that are coming are pretty
pretty cool.
they're not necessarily repeats from last year. They're like a different
Awesome.
set of cars. So
That's cool.
it's some of them, a few are coming back return, but a lot of them I didn't see the names and the cars are different.
In the
Yeah,
registration,
last year.
can you see, are there a lot of first timers?
I would say more than half the field are first timers.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, at least the first timers to Motorsport Reg, which is what most PCA regions use. So that leads me to believe that it's not cars that are commonly seen in the area.
Yeah, we're looking forward to. We connected with Lorenzo. Melanie and I. We were on a call and just dotting all our I's, crossing our T's, making sure stuff with the city, food. Reaching out to all of our sponsors, making sure they know what they're bringing. I think Toyo themselves are bringing like 5 modified Porsche, so it's gonna be a great event.
So I guess I'll put the plug here for Damon. We're going to be there. What Friday and Saturday, I guess.
Thursday we arrive,
Mhm.
and then
what
Friday.
time do we arrive?
Oh, geez, I don't
Pretty
remember
early.
off the top of my head.
Pretty early.
Probably,
Hey,
yeah.
Basically Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Are we going up to the up the mountain again?
Depends on how things are and whether or not we have time. But so, are you trying to plug for 1 mile reviews?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
That,
Yeah, so
if
email damonl@pca.org. If you have a Porsche in the area, we'll be in Burbank from, what would it be, November 10th through the 13th. On possibly the afternoon of the 10th and the 11th and 12th, we will be setting up, but we'll happily take some time to film your car for a 1 mile review.
takes about an hour to do the filming, setting up, and getting everything on average. It's about an hour.
Yep.
And,
We can't guarantee that every person who wants to have their car in a 1 mile review will have that done this time around, but we will try our best to accommodate as many cars as possible.
And it doesn't just have to be you just bought a brand new Porsche, and
Could be anything.
It could
We're
be
looking
anything.
for
We
good
could have
content.
two of the same car if one's modified differently. So
Yeah.
I
So
think I
let's-
got you. I think I got you an opportunity to drive the West Coast Customs car too.
Yeah, that would be great.
nice.
So at least here on the East Coast, we're entering. We're going to be hitting winter soon, and so a lot of cars get put away. So just
Yeah.
like a squirrel putting away nuts,
Yeah.
Yep.
we're looking to get some content we can hold off.
Are you going to drive one of Ilko's cars?
Yeah,
He-
Boxer Spider, I think he
Is you
offered.
going to bring the Spider up, or you bring? Well, you
I
got
will.
to. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I only have one car that's currently functional.
What happened to
Oh,
the GT3?
no.
That's a sore spot. We'll talk about that on another show.
Perhaps another show.
Moving
Okay,
along.
let's
So
say it's mechanical. Not.
What? Well,
I didn't hit anything.
don't.
well, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sore spot. Don't go there
Yeah.
just yet. But let's talk about the LA Auto Show where there are cars that work.
Oh,
Oh,
Ouch.
I'm
jeez.
sorry, I'm
Wow,
sorry.
you set that one up like.
That was a good setup, though, wasn't it? Registration for the LA Auto Show is October 19th. We have about 290 tickets available for, I think it's $20 to get your ticket, and you get early access. We've talked about this before, so just make sure you mind that. Tech Tactics West registration is currently set for October 24th. We are very close to getting more details, and Ilko, we're actually going to lean on you once we get the confirmation of the location to get some get your eyes on the property, making sure that we can have tech tactics the way we normally do, and logistically, have everything set so everyone has a good experience.
Yeah, tech
You
tactics
let me know where you want me to go.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
key is the audio, because
Yeah.
if the ceilings are too high or all metal, the audio bounces around. It becomes a nightmare. Unfortunately, we're not going to use the same facility that we used in the past, which was ideal for that. But we're going to try to make it work out. So
Yeah, we'll make it work out. Recent videos. Before we get into the videos that are coming up, I just want to thank. We asked people for their comments about flip flops. We got a lot, and it was actually quite enjoyable to read. So, here's my opportunity to ask you to, one, if you enjoy the podcast, give us a like, give us 5 stars, comment, because it really was enjoyable to read all of your comments. And do that. We will read them, and we actually write back to you. I think someone was looking for information on how to become a vendor at Rennsport, and Manny said
Contact the track.
Contact the track.
The track manages all the vendors. At
Yep.
Rennsport.
So what's
And
coming
by the
up?
way, in that regard,
Yeah.
the track has not given any information to anybody, because I've been asked by our advertisers how to get on the list to even get any information about rates, about spaces, and Laguna Seca have so far been silent about it. And I think that may be because Porsche has not quite finalized their footprint,
Exactly.
so they can't sell the space that they don't have the
We were
knowledge
playing
of what it's
Monopoly
gonna be.
on Monday. I told them I had Boardwalk and Park Place, so if they wanted to trade anything, it had to be pretty good. And so far, they haven't come up with anything.
And I think you're exactly right, Ilko. It's still important for you to reach out to them to get on the list so that they'll call you when they are ready. But yes, they're still laying much of the event out, which will then, whatever Porsche takes versus what space they'll still have available, divided into 10 by 10s, 10 by 20s, or whatever, the various footprints that are available for vendors. But yeah, you still should call and get your name on the list.
And PCA will manage the parking of the corrals. We don't manage where the corrals go,
Right.
The corral sales. That's all the track. So we basically do the footwork on the ground when the event happens. They tell us, hey, in this lot there's going to be X amount of 911s or Boxers and Caymans and so on, and then we, figure out how we're going to park the cars there and line the parking spots.
Over to you, Damon. Videos.
Cool. So videos, yeah, some of the ones that have been released since our last podcast is I did a 1 mile review of a Cayenne Turbo GT. So if you didn't want to watch a 20-something minute video of Vu going super in depth on that SUV, you can watch my shorter one.
Nice knowledge drop in the beginning too. Like, you compacted it. So I thought you did a great job with that.
Yeah, it
All
took
the
like,
details.
I don't even know how many takes, and I'm sure there's some editing in there as well, but I tried. We also have a Porsche tour of the Audrain Newport Concours and Motor Week at the Gathering at Rough Point.
Yes. So there's
Longest title in the world.
Yeah, right.
And if you're looking for a good drinking game, if you watch this video, because Damon wasn't there and we didn't take it in one shot, we took it in one shot. We took it in multiple shots. Mm-hmm. So if you watch that video and take a shot every time I say beautiful, you're guaranteed to be sloshed by the end of it. So I'm just going to call myself out on that one, because it's really different when you're doing little segments individually. Yep. And I didn't realize how many times I said beautiful.
You said to me, "Goes, why do you say something about how many times I said beautiful?" But you remember, I couldn't hear you.
Right, because we didn't have the right.
I was just looking at the audio video as I was filming and
Yep.
making sure that no one stepped in front of us.
Right.
But the audio, we
did it with my
we did it with
my
microphones.
iPhone, and it wasn't with Damon's normal equipment where he could hear. Normally, he would be able to hear
I think
what
I would have said something if
You better say something if I'm doing something repeated. But anyways, it's still a good video to see the cars that we brought at the Audrain. And again, thank you to Donald Osborne and the Audrain crew for inviting us, and shout out again to the Northeast region for supporting us and getting those cars.
Yep. So next 1 mile review is a 911 SC Weissach edition safari car, which should be pretty fun. Vu got to drive that, and I know we had probably more fun on that one than many, if not all, of the other 1 mile reviews.
That car made me giggle. Absolutely.
So that should be a good one. And then John D'Angelo's 993 Carrera 4 Cabriolet is coming up after that. Kermit. So look forward to those two in the next couple of weeks. We've also reviewed a Macan GTS. So one of our freelance reporters did that. And 993 Carrera RS and Carrera RS Club Sports coming up. 992 GT3 comparison. Winged car versus touring. So we have a lot of things coming up in the next few months when it comes to our normal video.
We got to get the water pump out before Rob sells a car.
Yeah, I know, right?
The water pump video.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. oh,
just kidding.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that's horrible. But
so I also took a lot of videos and did interviews while I was in Germany. I still have to organize them, and I'll get them to you. They're fairly logical. I try to, when I shoot by myself or if I'm with just Manny and don't have you coming, we keep it pretty simple. So there should be some good.
I think it was an insult somewhere along that way.
There's some good German content for you to share as well.
Cool.
Just because you told me that the gimbal doesn't work for. A gimbal had a mind of its own.
So
Yes.
the gimbal has always worked for me without fail. As soon as Manny holds it,
Boo was moving around so freaking much, and I would try to point the gimbal at him, and I could see the camera on its own just moving. And I'm like, that's not where I want it. And I'm like trying to grab the phone and move it over. And
that's why I used a tripod.
You never grab a gimbal.
well, what do I do when it's going to the left out
it's
of the
because you're
screenshot?
pointing to the left.
No, I'm actually trying to point where he is. It was a.
I think we need to give him a training session.
Yeah, I'll check it out because I haven't turned it on since you had the issue. So maybe there is an issue. But yeah, it's always worked for me. So
All right, guys. This one's also an extended version. So anything else before we sign off?
I think I'm good.
Good. Ilko, thank you for joining us. Everyone,
My
thanks
pleasure,
for
guys.
listening. If you haven't, if you're not currently a PCA member, grab that VIN, head to PCA.org. We'll set you up. We'd love to have you as a PCA member. If you're looking for a Porsche, join the test drive program, and we'll show you how to delve into the PCA and Porsche world. Remember to follow our podcast, Instagram page, behind the scenes photos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can send us a message via email as well, podcast@pca.org. Or again, like, comment on YouTube as well as on the platform that you're listening to the podcast. We would really appreciate that. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.